Before we begin, I would like to introduce my YouTube channel, BL Nongsap. Let's start.
You know when you open your weather app and you see that little number for air quality? Yeah, we see it all the time, but what's the deal with it? What does it actually mean for us, for our health, for what we do every day? All right, let's get into it. We're going to decode the air quality index.
So take a look at this. For millions of people all over the world, this isn't some shot from a disaster movie. Nope. This is their everyday reality. A thick, hazy smog that just covers everything. It's this invisible threat that we're breathing in, literally, with every single breath.
And look, this isn't just some minor inconvenience. We're talking about places like New Delhi, where the air has gotten so toxic, that the government had to step in and shut down schools, restrict traffic, all just to try and protect people. That's the level of crisis we're dealing with here.
So here we are, facing this massive, invisible threat. And that begs the question, right? How in the world do you fight something you can't even see? Well, the very first step is you've got to make it visible. You need a way to actually measure what's going on in the air around us.
And that is exactly where the air quality index, you'll see it called the AQI, comes into play. The best way to think about it, it's like a thermometer, but for air pollution. It's this absolutely essential tool that takes that invisible threat and makes it visible, makes it understandable for every single one of us. Okay, so how does this thermometer for our air actually work? Let's break it all down. That way you'll know exactly what you're looking at next time you see that number.
Really, at its core, the AQI is a pretty simple color-coded system. It runs on a scale from 0 all the way up to 500. And the rule is easy. The lower the number, the cleaner the air. As that number starts to climb, the colors change. And that's your signal that the health risk is going up too.
All right, this chart right here is where those numbers turn into real, practical advice. See that green good zone from 0 to 50? That's your green light. Go outside, enjoy. Then we move into yellow, or moderate. Most of us are still fine here, but if you're in a sensitive group, you might want to take it a little easier. But watch what happens when we get into orange and red. Now the air is officially unhealthy, and pretty much everyone can start to feel the effects. And then, if you see purple or maroon, okay, that's a serious, serious warning. We are now in hazardous territory. We're talking emergency level stuff where staying inside is absolutely crucial for your health.
Okay, so this all leads to a really important question, right? What is the AQI actually measuring? I mean, what are these pollutants that are making the air so dangerous in the first place?
Well, the AQI tracks a handful of key pollutants, but let's just focus on two of the absolute worst offenders. First up, you've got something called particulate matter, or PM2.5. Now, these are these microscopic particles from things like smoke and car exhaust. They're so incredibly tiny that they can just bypass your body's natural defenses, get deep into your lungs, and even get into your bloodstream. Scary stuff. Then you've got ground-level ozone. Now, this is not the good ozone layer way up high that protects us. Nope, this is the bad ozone, right down here at street level. It forms when pollution from cars and factories basically bake in the sunlight, and that's what creates that classic ugly smog.
And believe me, the stakes here could not be higher. This goes so far beyond just a scratchy throat or a little cough. I mean, look at this list. Long-term exposure to this stuff is directly linked to chronic lung disease, a higher risk of heart attacks, lung cancer, and even things like cognitive decline. We're talking about serious, life-altering consequences.
And here's the thing. While bad air is bad for all of us, it is especially dangerous for the most vulnerable people in our communities. We're talking about children whose lungs are still developing. We're talking about the elderly, anyone who already has a heart or lung condition. And of course, people whose jobs require them to be outside all day breathing this in.
All right, so we've covered the what and the why. Now let's zoom out a bit and look at the where. Because make no mistake, this is not just a local problem here and there. This is a full-blown global crisis.
Just look at these numbers. You've got major global cities like Lahore and Beijing deep in that purple, very unhealthy range. But then you see Delhi. It's pushing into a category that's pretty much all its own. 350. Just let that sink in. Remember that chart we just looked at? Anything over 300 is classified as hazardous. That's not just a suggestion to stay inside. That's an emergency health warning for an entire population of 33 million people.
And, it's not just about these crazy daily spikes. When you start to look at the annual averages, you see that entire countries are living under this constant cloud of unhealthy air, day in and day out. This really shows you the sheer scale of the challenge that's in front of us.
Okay, so the data is crystal clear. And the problem is, It's huge, but it's not hopeless. And that brings us to what might be the most important part of this whole conversation. What can we actually do about it?
And really, that is the big question, isn't it? It is so easy to look at numbers like these and just feel completely powerless. But the truth is, the power to change this story, it lies with governments, it lies with industries, and yes, it lies with every single one of us.
Now, on the big picture, large scale, the path forward is actually pretty clear. Governments need to get serious about enforcing stricter emission standards for cars and for factories. They need to aggressively push the shift to renewable energy, we're talking solar, wind, and they need to invest in green infrastructure, like planting more trees and creating urban forests.
But it's not just on them. Our individual choices matter too. A lot, actually. Every single time we choose to walk or bike or hop on public transit instead of driving, that helps. Every time we cut back on our electricity use at home, that makes a difference. You have to remember, these might seem like small actions, but when you multiply them by millions of people, that creates a massive, massive impact.
So, it all comes back to that little number on our phones, the Air Quality Index. It isn't just another piece of data. It's a tool. It's a tool for awareness. And really, it's a call to action. It gives us the knowledge we need. So the only question left for all of us is this: how are we going to use it to change the story?
This video is prepared by Shri BL Nomsap. Once again, make sure to share, like and subscribe and give your valuable positive feedback and comments. Thank you.